Welcome back to BT Vancouver on a Friday. It is 9:45. Well, as we mentioned earlier this week, Metro Vancouver home sales were down almost 40% in April, nearing a 40-year low. Joining us now to talk more about this is Joannah Connolly from Glacier Media. Good morning, Joannah.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So let's talk briefly about the month of April. We're seeing a lot of reduced activity. Are we seeing prices fall as well?
No, we're not actually. We're definitely seeing a big drop-off in sales, and it's 40% compared with last year, and that was already a slow year. So we're probably 60% down on the 10-year average for April, which is pretty low. But what you have to remember is that new listings have also dropped by a similar amount. So that means the proportion of new listings that are sold isn't as bad as it looks from these numbers. And what that means is that sellers that are listing their homes and that are selling them are not necessarily having to take a lower price right now.
Do you think that this is happening because people are afraid of catching COVID, or do you think buyers are just waiting for prices to drop?
I don't know that people are necessarily afraid of catching COVID. I'm sure some people are, but I think it's more to do with respecting the federal and provincial mandates to stay at home. So if you don't need to go viewing houses right now, if you're not desperate to buy a home, then of course people aren't. They're staying home and socially isolating. And the other thing as well is that maybe some buyers are waiting for prices to drop. But like I said, there's no indication that that's happening yet. I think there would have to be a much longer sustained slowdown in activity, perhaps a major recession that would lead to foreclosures, and then you'd start seeing some real drops in prices. But right now, anyone that's trying to offer lowball prices is really not having any luck.
So how can the real estate industry adapt to protect buyers and sellers during the selling process?
Yeah, they're really working in a very altered landscape right now. So they're doing lots of things. First of all, before it even gets to the showing, they're working much more closely with their vendor clients to make sure there's a really great virtual tour, make sure that the staging is done really well so the photographs look fantastic, and ensure that all of those buyers that are finding these online listings can get a much stronger sense of whether it's a home that would work for them. Because what the agents are trying to do is actually minimize the number of people that come through the house in real life, so that they're only getting people that are really serious and really think that this house might be the one for them. Because, of course, there are no open houses, so people are having to have special appointments, which means, of course, that you have to turn out the seller and their family, which you want to do a minimal amount. So there are lots of, sort of reasons to, excuse me, to cut out those kind of looky-loos. And then once you get to the actual appointment for the viewing, you've got waivers that are being signed that people don't have symptoms, haven't traveled recently, and so on. And then PPE is being worn, you're not allowed to touch anything, and it's all just one or two people at a time.
Taking every precaution that is necessary to keep people safe. Joannah, unfortunately, we are out of time, but thank you so much for joining us this morning, and have a great weekend.
You're very welcome. You too.
All right, it is 9:45.